Good morning, sirs and madams. Uh, Today's session is a mix of three different topics. One is the scheduled bioethics and alternatives to animal experimental models. The second one is how to use, some of you know that, again, because that was included in yesterday's schedule. I'm going to talk about something about the utilization of Amrita virtual labs. And third one is some AI tools, artificial intelligence tools for education purpose. So I wanted to teach those tools along with these topics. So that is the reason why I had to project my laptop onto the PC. So now I'll start with Amrita Lab first. If you have your mobiles or laptops or tablets, you can use them. There will be certain polls also. Please participate so that will be a kind of encouragement for me. And in Google, you just in the search bar type Amrita O Labs, and then you'll get this website olabs.edu.in. So when you click on this olabs.edu.in, it will take us directly to Amrita Labs, which are virtually designed practicals for the purpose of school students. But here, school means not the state syllabus schools, they are NCERT based or ICSE based syllabus. So that not some of the, many of the topics are there in our degree curriculum also. For example, so when we go to this website, we'll see a number of subjects: physics, chemistry, biology, etc. When we click on biology, we for class 12 students, there are so many practicals here. Botany as well as zoology practicals, including the Mendel's laws of segregation. And I have chosen one from, in addition to this, there is another lab called as V Lab, Value at Amrita. There, there are AR, VR simulated labs for bioinformatics, microbiology, and other allied subjects. And coming back to the biology, in biology, there are so many topics, and we can click on any topic. For example, in physiology, we have this experiment, action of salivary amylase on starch. So when we click on this, there are so many tabs here: theory, procedure, animation, simulator, followed by viva voce, and resources and feedback also. So in theory, what we are teaching the students, the procedure, entire procedure is said to be in the form of principle is established here. We can make the student study it and ask him to deliver the same. Instead of we teaching, let the student study and ask him to deliver what he has studied. And after this, we come across with the procedure. So what kind of beakers are required, test tubes are required, step-by-step procedure is given with respect to this aspect or practical. And we can make the students again to deliver the same step by step. And after the student comes into what we call ambit of understanding this process, we can show him or ask him to go for the animation if phones are available, or otherwise we can project in our the animation of the design aspect
Action of salivary amylase on starch.
So all the stepwise
Thermometer.
reactions are said to be present here. I did not show you because you are familiar with
Transfer
it.
the solution into the second and third series of
And
tests.
after showing the animation and simulator, we can ask the students even certain questions under Viva Voce section. So likewise, any topic can be selected which is relevant to our syllabus and we can show the students through virtual labs. So you may ask, when we have labs, why should we go for virtual lab? So there are so many colleges where there are labs not available. I worked in Araku Valley College. There are not even classrooms there. In that case, we have to do the practical outside the labs or outside the classrooms, which is not feasible in so many cases. So that is the reason why in that instances we can use these virtual labs. Even the student, if he sees the animation, there will be some impression of the video so that he can understand very well also. So even where there are labs also, we can utilize these virtual labs. So please go through this website once you go to your colleges and make use of it. That is one. The next one is, I wanted to present today's topic, that is bioethics. And for this bioethics, I have chosen one online AI tool, that is Prezi.com, Prezi. Here, this is just like ChatGPT. Whatever your presentation you want, you can just type there. For example, I wanted a presentation on bioethics, which includes the definition, the objectives, the differences between morality, ethics, and bioethics, and in addition to this, certain case studies. So, if you can give clear-cut idea what your ideas are there, it will generate the PPT on its own. Before that, you have to select a template. So, there are so many templates here, and I have selected one template. So, here you can go for videos, you can go for presentation, even you can make infographics. So, I have selected one, what we call uh, template, and this template is said to be from this website we can directly in online class or even like this offline class we can present. So there is a present button, and when you click this present button, it shows start presentation or presenter view, and you can go for a record as a video, but it needs purchase, but presentation does not require any money. So we go for start presentation. It asks about remove watermark. We don't want, because it again wants money or purchase. So we go for with watermark only. So your presentation will be displayed. And this is bioethics and alternatives to animal models. This is the first slide. When you click on this is the overall preview. This is the entire preview of the topic, and you can move it by clicking on the what we call next slide button. So by clicking on this, it shows somewhat like animation on its own. We need not create any animations. So it goes to the next slide. Prezi, Prezi. Okay. So coming to the topic, so I'll be dealing with this topic along with this presentation in this Prezi online AI tool. And here we start with the difference between morals, ethics, and bioethics. What is the difference between these three? So morals are nothing but an individual's own code for acceptable behavior, which are learned and dependent on our conscience. So morals are not learned by anyone. We cannot get morals from our birth. They are not inherent. They are said to be learned from from our parents, from the teachers, from the society. And what about the ethics then? Ethics is nothing but it's a philosophical discipline concerned with what is morally good and bad and morally right and wrong. It is like balancing between these two. So when we are doing something, every time if you want to do something, our mind shows whether I should do it or not. So that is what moral plays there. So choosing between these two is what ethics is. And coming to the bioethics, it leads to it's nothing but the study of ethical, social, and legal issues that arise in the field of biological research and also biomedical research. So all these three aspects are included in bioethics. One is ethical issues, whether it is to be done or not, social issues, whether there is a social implication or not, and legal issues. If we do this, whether we are going to be uh, asked said to be sued in the court or not. So these are the three implications involved in bioethics. And coming to the ethical principles. So these are the first four are the main principles with respect to if anyone asks you what are the main principles of bioethics, you can say the first four. But we include all the remaining four also. The first one is autonomy. It is the freedom to make decisions about oneself. When I was in 10th class, everyone is asking me to go for MPC because I got 90 marks there. Even my social science teacher, my science teacher, even my mother, everybody is asking me to take MPC. My social science teacher is having a son and he's already graduated there. He's doing his BTech there and he is fond of me and he trained me for the entire summer by taking me to his home just to change my mindset towards MPC. But as I have a mindset which is oriented towards natural science, nobody could do it because I have an autonomy and even my parents and my father, my sisters all agreed of my decision to go for what we call BPC. So this is what autonomy is. So bioethics is mainly dealt with autonomy. For example, if somebody there is you have taken me to hospital because I have fallen ill. So they have prescribed certain drugs, but I don't want to take. You cannot force me to take those medicines because I have autonomy. I can take or I cannot take. That is what this first principle is. The second one is to be non-maleficence. It means that no harm be caused to an individual either unintentionally or deliberately. So even forcefully or sometimes we say that we have done this thing unintentionally but some damage has taken place to the other person. So that should not be the case here. If you are going to operate someone as a doctor, if you are going to give a drug to a patient, you have to be aware of this. One thing happened in our family once. My elder sister has a son. He was suffering from just nothing but diarrhea. We were there at the time in Chirala, and nearby there is no big hospital, and we wanted him to take to another hospital in the district headquarters because from the continuous 3 days diarrhea is said to be going on and he is suffering very much. So we have taken him to the hospital, and because my father is a judge, everyone welcomed it, and the baby is in the is taken into the somewhat ICU like thing, that room, emergency room. And after 1 hour, they came back and said that the baby's died. It's just 1 or 2 years old. What is the reason behind it? We did not know. After that, we came to know that the nurse who was asked by the doctor to inject the baby intramuscularly, she gave it intravenously. Immediately, the baby died. Maybe it's God's will, we cannot question. And we wanted to sue the entire hospital and even the nurse and the doctor also. But my father said, it's God's will, let us go back. So this is what we call this non-malfeasance acts comes into force. The third one is beneficence. So the name itself says, whatever you do, whatever the research you do, it must do some good for others. And the fourth one, most importantly, justice. It means every individual must be treated equally. For example, we see organ transplantation. So, for organ transplantation, what actually the doctors do is they take the what we call priority. So, they list out the patients who are suffering from certain heart problem, let us say so. So, first of all, I have approached for my father, another one for his mother, and after that. So, there is a list of these patients in chronological order based on first come, first serve. And if the first one is said to be poor individual, and the second one is said to be a somewhat rich individual, there is a donor ready to give you the heart, and the doctor should not see the difference between these two with respect to economical background. What he has to see is he just has to follow the bioethical principle of justice, where equality has to be furnished here. The first come first serve has to be done. That is what justice actually is. And in addition to this, there are other certain aspects of minor importance in bioethics. They are fidelity, means loyalty, confidentiality has to be maintained, whether it is truthful or not, veracity has to be maintained, and the person who has done thing has to be made accountable. That is the reason why before we go into the operation room, the doctors take us, they make us accountable. Whether he dies or lives, the accountability not lies on the doctor, because we have given our consent, he is going to operate. So accountability either should lie in the parents, that means in the relatives or the parents of the patient, or either in the doctor. So these are the basic ethical principles. The next one is ethical dilemmas. So ethical dilemmas always arise with respect to opposing viewpoints. So one has certain viewpoint, the other has another viewpoint. For example, we generally speak about surrogate mothers. So there is a movie when I was studying, just a second, that's it. There is a movie called as 9 Months, Tomidi Nalalu from Soundarya. So at that time, nobody knows it, and that movie also does not fare well in the what we call the theaters, because it is first for the first time it touched the aspect of surrogacy. And nowadays it has become so frequent that everyone, every celebrity, even normal ones are going for surrogacy, isn't it? So here there is a viewpoint. The parents may differ from your viewpoint, and you may also differ from your parents. One more example I want to cite here. Um, my wife's relative is there. He is working in USA, and he came during summer when Nirmal was born. It's just Nirmal is the my eldest son, he is 1 year old, and he is doing some biomedical research. In that, there is a lab for them. What they do is they take the blood sample of the child and screen for any possible hereditary diseases. Whether the child in due course of his life is going to be prone to any disease inherited from either myself or my wife. So he asked us, I will do it for you freely, free of cost, if you want to do it. So we asked my parents, they opposed it. Her parents, they opposed it. But being science students, we said okay for it. And he made a screening, took the blood sample to America. He made the screening entire thing, and he presented a report. Okay, so that is what the viewpoints which results in ethical dilemma. So if there is just that dilemma, the four principles that we have studied, they have to be kept in mind whether we have to go for that thing or not. This is what ethical dilemma is. And there are certain bioethical issues with respect to our life sciences. One is whole genome diagnosis of newborn, that is what we have just discussed. The second one is therapeutic cloning or whole animal cloning. There are ethical issues, ethical dilemmas concerned with which we all know, though we know, just I want to mention once again. So we nowadays everyone is storing the cord blood stem cells. Up to 20 years we can store it. Okay, so whenever a person whose cord blood is saved there, and after due course of 20 years or 30 years, what happened is he has fallen in with respect to cardiac problem and heart has to be replaced. And nowadays we are asking for the donors. But in this technology, we can culture the tissue, we can prepare an embryo, make an embryo, and from that embryo, we can collect the stem cells responsible for the formation of the heart. And they are saying so, not actually. This is not even implemented except in animals. And we can prepare a heart and we can place it, which can avoid all organ transplantation rejects. Even MHC is also will not be having no role in that case. But what actually here we are doing? We are taking certain cells of the embryo, and the embryo is said to be devoid of these cells, and that embryo is going to die. So before being born, the baby is going to die. That is the ethical aspect here. So though we are feeling that we are giving a chance for an elderly person. Let's say he is an Albert Einstein. He is required for the entire world now. But even then, for his sake, we cannot, what we call, make the unborn baby the scapegoat. So there are certain ethical issues like stem cells, eugenics we know, and genetically modified organisms like the BT brinjal, which is not followed scrupulously, example, in and around our areas. When we see the same in the Western countries, they give both the varieties in the covers, duly mentioning it is genetically modified or it is natural. But when we go to the Raitu Bazaar, we don't know whether it is a GMO or a normal one. So one has to have autonomy. What I have to choose, I have to choose. But here we are not given the option. So the authorities have to take into control these aspects of bioethics. And in addition to this, there is euthanasia. That means good health. Literally, it means good health. So when I was studying degree, a mother filed a case in the Supreme Court. because it was rejected in High Court, she went to Supreme Court asking for the mercy killing of her son. Why? Because he is suffering from DMD, Duchenne muscular dystrophy. You know, dystrophin is a protein that is present beneath the sarcolemma. Along with the cytoskeleton, it gives support during the contraction and relaxation process. So without that, what happens? The cell membrane loses its capacity to withhold these stretches. Likewise, we have a nuclear membrane is there, below which there is fibrous lamina or dense lamina that supports the nucleus. And before what happens, prophase, phosphorylation of these lamin proteins results in the disorganization of the nuclear membrane. Likewise, if that happens here, there are certain antibodies produced against this dystrophin protein. And so, what happens? All the muscles, including the muscles related to your eye, all rectus muscles also are said to be collapsed. In that case, the baby is completely paralyzed, and he's just nothing but a vegetable in our terms. So the mother filed a case, please make my son, let my son die. So the court did not give any order, and she has to wait till he naturally died. And there is an ethical dilemma in the court whether to give permission or not. So these are the aspects which we cannot count upon. Another one is abortion. So there is this is said to be still burning case, whether to give away the baby or give birth to the baby is said to be still an ethical dilemma. Likewise, organ donation we have discussed. Cryonics. So cryonics is said to be another aspect where the person who is almost in the verge of the death or just died, he will be kept in store. Okay, he'll be freezed so that the Egyptian mummies were done at that time. Here, the scientists believe that they can do some experiments on this corpse or just died individual so that they can bring life into him. But is it possible? That is a big question. But they wanted to do this. They wanted to experiment on it. And the government is not allowing such things because it involves an ethical value. Isn't it? We cannot, because it is a dead person, we cannot do anything that what we want on that body, because if he is living, he can choose. He is having an autonomy, and all the other things play a major role. But because it is a dead person, we cannot do such things. Next one is said to be artificial intelligence in education. It is also a ethical one. Why? Because if we say artificial intelligence is going to rule the world and no lecturer or teacher is needed, then what the teachers say? We are needed, without which the moralities and ethics will not be there among the students. Because the student learns these moralities and ethics or bioethics from the teacher, parents and the society only. And the teacher plays a major role. Leaving it to a robot or any artificial intelligence which does not have any moral or ethical issues, we cannot allow. Thus, there is again a dilemma with respect to this. So, these are some of the bioethical issues that I have mentioned. And let's go for certain case studies I want to mention here. So, this is about the first lady of erstwhile USA President Roosevelt, and she is Eleanor Roosevelt, and she is suffering from a disease. It's called as ornithine carbamyl transferase enzyme deficiency, like that thing. So because of this, she suffered very much. So by the side of her, there is a doctor, and his name is like something like Gurish or something. he is Gurvish. So the suffering had rose to that extent that she begged the doctor, doctor, please stop medication. She begged him, please stop medication. But being a wife of president, he cannot do that. If something happens to her after medication stops, someone may, the president may sue him, or he may lose his job, whatever he thinks, or even he may have the opinion that I can cure this lady with all the efforts that I can do. So there are certain issues poured into, and and what happened actually is after a few years she died with the same disease in spite of the medication that is given by this particular doctor. And there are four principles that are violated here. One, it is said to be non-maleficence. What he has done is avoiding harm by pushing prednisone after it had no apparent therapeutic effect. He was continuously giving this medicine, prednisone, even though she asked him to stop it. So he can avoid. Why? Because it's not having any impact at all. It's not going to cure her. So in that case, he has to stop it. But he did not do that. And that violates the first principle, that is non-maleficence. And the second one is beneficence. Limiting interventions to beneficial ones by performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation in the absence of any favorable outcome. So we will see about the cardiopulmonary resuscitation, another case there. So this is the, when someone is not able to breathe, we open our mouth, and through mouth to mouth, we do our best in order to what we call inject some air into his lungs, so that he may or he may not recover. So he knows that she may or may not recover, but he still does this thing. So that is another violation with respect to the principle of beneficence. And the another one is futility. By continuing transfusions, performing tracheal suctioning, all these made Roosevelt suffer more rather than decreasing her pain. So with this, the one principle evolved with respect to bioethics, that is called as principle of respect for persons. So this case study brought to the light the principle of respect for others. Even if you are a doctor, even if you think that you can do anything, any miracle, but you have to respect the patient. So if the patient is begging you to stop medication and you did not do that, and she has to suffer, you are continuously suctioning the lungs, whatever that is deposited there, mucus is said to be, and you are continuously doing it, leading to the suffering, much more suffering of the individual for months together. So that is how this case brought into light the principle of respect for persons. And the second one is Gelsinger case. Gelsinger case. 17-year-old Jesse Gelsinger, he has a genetic disease. That disease I have mentioned here. Arlethin transcarbamyl deficiency, which prevents the body from breaking down ammonia. So ammonia accumulates. When ammonia accumulates, we know what are the consequences, because we cannot keep ammonia, we convert it to urea. So here ammonia is said to be accumulated here. So what the scientists asked him is, there are so many children suffering from this disease. Why don't you volunteer yourself so that we use certain medicines, and if you recover, we can apply the same to the other children. And the vector that is used is the adenovirus. Adenovirus, we know, it is non-pathological common cold virus. So here they have asked the patient whether you are ready or not. And before that they have said that we have done the same thing on certain other patients. We have done the same thing on certain other patients, and those patients are not suffered. There are no what we call side effects of that patients, of those patients. So they said this. So he immediately agreed. Let me sacrifice or volunteer myself where I'm not having any side effects. So why not they do something on me? If I get cured, that is one benefit for me, and because of me, millions of children will be benefited. But what happened is they have injected the adenovirus into that person, and it has shown all the side effects, and he immediately within few days he died. What is the moral value here? So there is an inquiry conducted. In that inquiry, it came to know that while these doctors were doing this experiment on animals, some of the animals showed side effects, and they hid this fact from him because if he is volunteered, there is no such volunteering on those days. If he volunteers and they can get if the experiment is successful, they get lot of funding and also money. So keeping in that mind, he was uninformed, and based on this, the second principle, bioethical principle of informed consent evolved. So one has to be informed what are the consequences that are going to be done. That is the reason why when someone goes for operation, the doctor says, these are the consequences. Are you ready to face? If you are not ready to face, what happens? You will be, if you are not ready to face, you can leave the hospital, you can go somewhere else. If you are ready to face, we are going to operate. And they also say that this injection costs about 1 lakh or 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs. If you are ready to pay only, then only we can continue. So that is what informed consent is. And there is another case that is called as JD's case. Here, his full name is not given because it may violate the principle of bioethical principle of autonomy or something like that. Here, there is a person called as JD. He is about to die. He is about to die, and he has the nurse, the parents came to the doctors and said that he's suffering from so many days here. We are we are unable to see him suffer like this. Please remove all that is said to be given to him. For example, oxygen mask is the saline as continuously given. So remove all this. So they went to the pastor, and the pastor also they begged the pastor. The pastor also gave consent. He also came again to the hospital, and everyone asked them to remove all this. In the meanwhile, what happened is one of the nurses she found the driving license of this particular individual, that is JD's driving license. In that, she found that on the backside of the driving license, he gave his consent for organ donation. He gave his consent for organ donation. So she immediately, without asking the parents, the individual is about to die or almost died, and she called for the organ donation individuals, and they have come here and they were doing something in order to take the organs for the individual. And the parents and the relatives and the pastor were uninformed this. So they went in forcefully. Even after this entire process started in the morning, it is night 9 p.m. now. Why you are not delivering the body to us? And they came to know that the individual already consented for organ donation and they're doing all the formalities. And at that time, the parents opposed it. The parents opposed it. The individual has given consent. He is dead, and now there came into an ethical issue where the parents did not agree. So what will you say? It has to be done or not? What is your point? The individual agreed, but he said, before he said to pay his parents or any other, my organs, I want my organs to be donated. Without saying, uttering that word, he died. And now it is the turn of the parents, they objected. You don't want. Yeah. కాబట్టి పేరెంట్స్కి వదిలేయాలంటారు. గుడ్. మేజరే, ఈజ్ 21 year old, డ్రైవింగ్ లైసెన్స్ ఉంది కదా. తన ఇంట్రెస్ట్ మేరకు అంటే ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్ టైంలో పేరెంట్స్ ఏమో ఆర్గ్యూ చేస్తారు. ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్ స్కూల్లో ఉన్నాడు, అందరూ వచ్చి చెప్పారు, ఆడేమో ఓకే చేసేసాడు. అప్పుడు కాడికి వయసు ఏం తెలియదు, చిన్నోడు కాబట్టి చేస్తాడు, మేము ఒప్పుకోవట్లేదు అని అంటే ఇప్పుడు పేరెంట్స్ మాట్లాడాలా? డ్రైవింగ్ లైసెన్స్ మేజరే. But what the actual so the body is delivered without donation of the organs. So what the morality is, the patient has, before his death, he has to say that I am donating my organs to that particular thing. Otherwise, one has to take the what we call responsibility, the parents or the relatives. Here, the parents or relatives did not accept it, so that was not done. So here, the relatives' consent, the parents' consent also matters. This is what this case study tells us about. Next one is act utilitarianism, from which they evolved what we call a principle called as demand to die. It's a theory of morality that advocates actions that foster happiness or pleasure and oppose actions that cause unhappiness or harm. Like Roosevelt, like Eleanor Roosevelt, Mr. Donald C. He is said to be what we call a navy or something military individual. He retired. He came along with his father. So they went for some what we call to their estate. What they have done is they have parked their vehicle behind a tank which is filled with gasoline. So they have done their work, came back, sat in the car, ignited it. And because there is gasoline around, it exploded and the father immediately died, and this patient was placed in the hospital where his arms were amputated, his legs were amputated, he was completely he is completely blind, and that is the condition. And now what has to be done? The parents asked for euthanasia. But the morality plays here and it is not allowed. So there is a demand to die, the principle of demand to die, because he cannot do anything. And there is another principle of demand to die which can be used here for giving certain directions by the Supreme Court or any other court. And these are the certain cases, but actually where from this bioethical principle originated? It originated from the Nuremberg trials of the doctors. So during Nazis oppression on the what we call some race, at the same time during World War II, there are two forces. One is Allied forces, the other is Axis powers. Axis powers include Germany, Japan, and France, I think so. Allied forces, we know America and etc. And there were so many things happened during World War II, we know that. What actually happened at the end? War is said to be stopped, and after that, these what we call Allied forces, they have formulated a principle of conducting a trial during on the war crimes that were done by the Nazis, and especially certain doctors. And this trial went on for months and years together. And the doctors say it is the what we call direction given from the government, and we have to do it. We are bound to do it, and nothing, any direction given from the government, is bounded is the bounden duty of the employee here, and we are not accountable for that. But because there is a principle of what we call non-maleficence, justice, etc. Whatever you have done to the patients, there some gases were released, and what all things that happened at that time. So they were tried, and some of them during the case only died. Some of them were executed. Some of them were life imprisonment, and it went on so long time. So based on this, for the first time, this principle of bioethics came into existence, and the Nuremberg Code is also developed. And there are certain approaches for bioethics. One is consequence based. That means whether that particular uh, thing which you are going to do. I have done a research on something, and you have to see whether it is going to have any consequence or not. When we were studying, we are all studying our degree under graduation. We have here the buzzword green revolution. Now we call it as first green revolution, because second green revolution is organic farming, going back to others, like again we are going back to that age. So green revolution is the buzzword, and everyone is going after this. High yielding varieties, using of pesticides, using of chemicals, insecticides of non-biological origin. And what happened is, yield is more, but in due course of time, after 20 years, the consequences we are facing are that there is biomagnification of these metals, and some of these individuals are children, or even the adults that are born that have taken these metals are said to be suffering from certain diseases. So, what actually I wanted to mention here is there is no consequent approach. What is going to be done? What is going to happen if we overuse the pesticides, chemical pesticides? So that is a consequent approach that one has to do with respect to any research or anything that you do. And the other one is said to be duty based or rules based. So certain approaches are said to be duty based or rules based. As the Nuremberg doctors trials say, they are duty based. The approach is said to be duty based, but we cannot say because it is there is a rule, I have done this, but it should not be the case. And likewise, there is a virtue based approach. So there must be, whatever you're going to do, there must have a truthfulness. It must have a virtue. That means usefulness for the other being. So these are the different approaches. So,
the research scholars or scientists, how they can get the ethical certificate from the is there any procedure?
we'll discuss. Next thing, types of ethics. So one is said to be clinical ethics. Uh, it is what we call, there are two cases. I'll discuss only just one case due to paucity of time. That is James Elam experiment on resuscitation. CPR method we know, mouth to mouth oxygen is being given. This is the first time introduced. This technique is introduced by Elam, but giving mouth to mouth is said to be, at the time, is said to be what we call something not good for anyone. The doctor keeps his mouth on some baby. They may feel that our child is said to be very young, and something from his mouth may get transferred. There are so many ethical issues involved. So still, even those ethical issues are involved. That was said to be, after so long debate for years together, maybe it has taken 10 or 15 years, it was said to be accepted. So surpassing all the bioethical principles, because it is said to be virtue based. It is virtue based approach. There is no consequential, what we call, effect. Either there is only benefit to the individual, and he is not going to die. He may live. Keeping in that mind, certain bioethical principles are said to be crossed, and that was accepted by the science, and, the authorities. And another one is said to be Tuskegee syphilis experiment, Billbrook experiment. I'll just speak about Tuskegee syphilis experiment just 1 minute. Um, this was said to be done on certain what we call Negroes living in America, I think so. And about 300 people, 300 Negroes were selected who were suffering from syphilis, and they were said to be given certain drugs, and they consent without taking their consent. They were started doing research, keeping in mind the money that they are going to get, and this is done without the notice of the public, even the government. Some journalists brought it to the fore, and it came to the it came to the light of the government, and government stopped doing this research on human beings. So what they suggested is you do it on animals first, then only you come to the human beings only after the informed consent is given. We are coming to the end. I will not test your patience. And there are, after these all these cases, the Nuremberg Code is evolved in 1947. This is the basis for the entire bioethical principles. One is what we have discussed, informed consent. One has to give the consent, whether that is going to be done on me or not, and anticipate scientific benefits. So, like the CSCPR, it has a scientific benefit. If that is the case, you can do it, even if it violates certain moral principles. And benefits outweigh risks. So when you balance this, there are more benefits than risk, then you can go for it. And animal experiments first. After the Tuskegee syndrome, they came to the thing that animal experiments first. And next thing is, when you do research, you have to avoid suffering. You can go through what we call YouTube experiments on monkeys with respect to neurophysiological experiments, where a number of electrodes are placed on the entire body of the monkeys, and almost when you see, you cannot see at all. They cry like anything, they shout like anything, and what the suffering that these animals were prone is said to be unimaginable, and they will die with the power that supply that is given to them, just to see whether there is an experiment where the heart is stopped and we have to give electrical impulse so that whether the heart regenerates or not, response or not. Those experiments were done on the monkeys and other guinea pigs, etc. And what has done? A number of things, a number of animals suffered a lot. And for cancer, that is what they are discussing about gene knockout experiments and all these things. So, in order to see whether the gene is expressed or not, cancer is induced in a mice, and the mice has to suffer, and that suffering should not be in the case of human beings. Avoid suffering, and no intentional death or disability, protection from harm, subject free to stop or withdraw from that action, and subject means the individual is free to stop or withdraw from that action, and qualified investigators have to be placed for what we call inquiring whether that particular research is said to be is following these ethical principles or not, and when investigator will stop that entire process if he feels that any harm is there. And coming to the major principles of bioethics, we have already seen non-maleficence, beneficence, autonomy, and justice. These are the four major principles which we have to keep in mind. And there is a small question for you. There are two groups of children. One group of children, 4 or 5, are on a railway track, and another one is said to be on another railway track, a single boy. There are 4 or 5 children on one railway track, and another one is on single track. And this is connected to a common track where you can divert the train to this track or to that track, and you are in the driving seat, and you can change the direction which way you go for. The track, the train has to go anyway. Okay? So let us keep it this way. The driver does not know that children are there, but there is a sentry or something like guard is there in that particular station before that, and he can move it. So if you are that person, which direction you will direct the train? Hmm? You have to give it the direction. It cannot go on its own. Only when I am just asking, leave about it. Wrong track, no one knows. సో ఒక్కలా ఐదుగురా? రూల్ ప్రకారం వెళ్ళాలి అంటే ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళాలో మనకు తెలియదు, కానీ మీ చేతిలో హ్యాండిల్ ఉంది. మీరు రూల్ ప్రకారం అది ఐదుగురు వైపు వెళ్ళాలంటే అంటే పంపించేస్తారు, అదే కదా? ఓకే. సో మై క్వశ్చన్ ఇస్, రూల్ ప్రకారం సింగిల్ బాయ్ ఉన్న ట్రాక్ మీద వెళ్ళాలి. ఇప్పుడు మీ చేతిలో హ్యాండిల్ ఉంది, మీరు అట్టే పోనిస్తారా రూల్ ప్రకారం? లేదా ఒకడికంటే ఐదుగురిని బతికించడం ముఖ్యం అనుకొని ఇటే పోనిస్తారా? అయ్యో, సినిమా స్టోరీ వదిలేయండి. దిస్ ఇస్ వాట్ వి కాల్ ఎథికల్ డైలమా. దట్ ఇస్ వాట్ ఐ వాంట్ టు మెన్షన్ హియర్. సో వీ కెనాట్ సే విచ్ వన్, ఒకరిని చంపేయాలా ఐదుగురు చంపేయాలని మనకి సో ఒకరితో పోలిస్తే ఐదుగురు బతికించడం బాగుంటుంది అన్న ఎథికల్ ఆలోచనలో అవతల ఇంకొకటికి జస్టిస్ నెరవేరలేదు. సో there is always this dilemma. Okay, and coming to the end of this session, so I quickly Adi. Okay, so we're coming to the close. So there is okay, so we coming to the second topic, that is alternate models to animal research. So we know the importance of animals in medical research, without which these many what we call inventions with respect to medicines, drugs or cosmetics cannot be done. నేను చదువుకునేటప్పుడు పౌడర్ మొహానికి రాసుకునేటప్పుడు అప్పుడు ఒక వైడ్ స్ప్రెడ్ మెసేజ్ వచ్చింది. ఏంటంటే ఈ పౌడర్ని తయారు చేసే దాంట్లో పంది మాంసం నుంచి తీసింది ఏదో కెమికల్ యాడ్ చేశారని. ఇంకా అప్పటి నుంచి అది ఎంత వైరల్ అయిపోయిందంటే ఆ టైంలో న్యూస్ పేపర్ ద్వారానో లేకపోతే నోట్ ద్వారానో, అప్పటికి సెల్ ఫోన్లు కట్టలేకపోయినా పౌడర్లే వాడడం మానేస్తారు కొంతకాలం. ఆ తర్వాత దాని మీద రీసెర్చ్ జరిగి ఏదైతే పౌడర్లో ఈ కాంపోనెంట్ ఉందో ఆ కాంపోనెంట్ని తీసేసి తర్వాత చేయడం జరిగింది. సో దెర్ ఆర్ సర్టెన్ యానిమల్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ సెట్ టు బి యూస్డ్ ఫర్ ఇట్. దెర్ ఈస్ సెంట్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ మస్క్. మస్క్ దేని నుంచి తీసిందే, మరి దాని నుంచి తీయాలంటే మరి దానికి ఎథికల్ ఇష్యూస్ ఉన్నాయి, కానీ we are said to be using the animals for us. So why are the animals used in research? Because they have short lifespan and they can be sacrificed for us. And coming to the different types of guidelines, what the guidelines for the animals are: you have to minimize the pain and distress. The goal of the scientist must be to minimize the potential pain and distress. To accomplish this goal, Russell and Birch proposed 3 specific strategies. All are 3 R's only. Likewise, environment we do it. Replacement, preferred use of non-animal methods. For example, if you want to do something on gene knockout, you can do this on cell lines prepared by these culture technologies. Or you can go for simulation techniques using bioinformatics studies also. So if there is any chance, we can replace the animal with these techniques. The second one is reduction, to obtain sufficient information from fewer animals. So you need not sacrifice to get a result thousands of mice. So make it to hundreds or even tens or even fives, so that from those 5 animals you draw more conclusions. That is what reduction is. And finally, refinement. Alleviate or minimize the potential pain and suffering and enhance the animal welfare also. So what I have told about the implantation of electrodes in the monkeys, those have to be avoided, and those can be refined for the welfare of the animals, keeping in this. And there is a committee for the supervision of all these experiments on animals, frame certain rules, and this is called a CCSCA. It is for the promotion of human care of animals, to avoid unnecessary pain before, during and after experiment also, to provide guidelines for housing of the animals. That means they have to be given proper housing conditions, proper care and breeding and maintenance. Sources of experimental animals, so where from we are getting, whether we are getting from wild catch or whether we are going to get the animals from farm animals, that is what matters here. And acceptable experimental procedures for anesthesia and euthanasia also, these are said to be being given. And there are certain rules with respect to guidelines for procurement of the animals and also quarantine of animals. Small animals have to be quarantined only for 1 week, and large animals can be quarantined for 6 weeks. And coming to the other conditions, there are physical separation, housing different species in different separate rooms has to be done. No two different species have to be kept in the same house. Likewise, there are anxiety has to be eliminated, and housing conditions, there are certain conditions like temperature, humidity, and ventilation. All these have to be provided, and we have to minimize the noise also for the welfare of the animals. And we have to conclude that whether it is animal or the human being, who has to outweigh who? But when it comes to human being, we generally outweigh animals only. ఎవరు కావాలి అని అంటే యానిమల్ సాక్రిఫైస్ చేసిన పర్లేదు, నాకు మందు కనిపెట్టు అలాగే అంటాం, కానీ నన్ను సాక్రిఫైస్ చేసి యానిమల్కి ఆ వైరల్ ఇన్ఫెక్షన్ రాకుండా చేయమని ఏ మనిషి కూడా అండు. But what we have to stick on it, we have to see both the ethics in the same balance. Link pattern. You please share the link in the group. Okay. So this is what the conclusion is, and just in 5 minutes we'll close this. So what actually is, even for NAC in criteria 3 research, we have to establish an animal ethics committee, but no college is authorized to establish this. Only the universities have the eligibility. So only universities. So universities establish an animal ethics committee, and we have an animal ethics committee in our college, and we have to what we call coordinate with the ethics committee of the university, so that we can conduct our experiment. We have to take the certificate from the university animal ethics committee only. Sir, so before you apply for the research proposal itself, we have to take the certificate from the animal ethics committee before you apply for the research proposal. Not after getting the project funding. Before that, you have to produce an exemption certificate mentioning all these principles are not violated, like these things. ఇందాక చెప్పాం కదా సార్, మనం యానిమల్స్ని ఫార్మ్ యానిమల్స్ చూస్తున్నామా, వైల్డ్ యానిమల్స్ చూస్తున్నామా? సో ఫార్మ్ యానిమల్స్ యూజ్ చేసినంత వరకు, ఈవెన్ మనం 2014 నుంచి we got this rule, no dissection should be there, but demo can be done. డెమోలో ఒకటే చచ్చిపోద్ది కాబట్టి ఆ డెమో ఇచ్చేది కూడా ఫార్మ్ యానిమల్స్ చేయమంటున్నారు బికాస్ వీ కెన్ గ్రో దామ్. వైల్డ్ యానిమల్స్ పోతే మళ్ళీ వాటిని ఆ స్పీసీస్ అంతరించిపోయే ప్రమాదం ఉంది కాబట్టి వీ కెన్ గో ఫర్ దిస్. అదే సార్. Done. So there are two things, two tools I want to mention. Please open your mobiles and go for menti.com. MENTIMETER.com. MENTIMETER mentimeter.com. మీరు క్లాస్లో సరదాగా పిల్లల చేత ఈ పోల్ అది కండక్ట్ చేయించవచ్చు. మీరు ఆల్రెడీ ఇంతకుముందు వినుంటారు వేరే క్లాసుల్లో, తెలియని వాళ్ళ కోసం మాత్రమే. సో ఒకసారి మీ దాంట్లో టైప్ చేస్తే జాయిన్ విత్ ఎ కోడ్ అని అడుగుతుంది. జాయిన్ కోడ్ అక్కడ కనబడుతున్న కోడ్ 81707451 7451. అక్కడ 81707451. MENTIMETER.com mentimeter.com. ఇది వచ్చిందండి. మీరు ఏదో ఒకటి క్లిక్ చేసి సబ్మిట్ కొట్టేయండి. 81707451 సార్. 81707451 క్లిక్ చేసిన తర్వాత మీకు ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ కనబడుతుంది. ఆ క్వశ్చన్ చదివి డైరెక్ట్గా దీంట్లోకి వచ్చేస్తారు. అది మీరు ఏం కావాలి పెట్టండి. మీరు పెట్టేసి కింద సబ్మిట్ కొట్టేయండి. అందరూ సబ్మిట్ చేస్తే నేను నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ మూవ్ అవుతాను. అది సో ఇక్కడ క్వశ్చన్ ఏంటి అని అంటే, అప్పుడే పుట్టిన పిల్లాడిని మన హోల్ యానిమల్ క్లోనింగ్ చేసి అలాంటి పిల్లాడిని ఇంకోటి ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేయొచ్చా అన్నది. ఎందుకంటే ఎథికల్ ఇష్యూ ఏమి ఇన్వాల్వ్ అవుతుంది అది ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ లో? ఇన్ఫార్మ్డ్ కన్సెంట్. అది కన్సెంట్ తీసుకోవడం పిల్లడు కదా, అది కన్సెంట్ మనం తీసుకోలేము కాబట్టి చేయొచ్చా అంటే, సో అది మీ అభిప్రాయం ఏంటి చెప్పండి. చేస్తారండి? సో నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్, థెరప్యూటిక్ క్లోనింగ్ ఇందాక డిస్కస్ చేశాం కదండి. అంటే ఎంబ్రియో వరకు జనరేట్ చేసి టిష్యూస్ ని సెపరేట్ చేసి హార్ట్ గిట్లో ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేసి అందులో చంపేయడం. థెరప్యూటిక్ క్లోనింగ్ అంటే ఎంబ్రియో క్లోనింగే. ఎంబ్రియో వరకే చేసి చంపేస్తాం, తర్వాత ఎంబ్రియో నుంచి సెల్స్ తీసేసుకుంటే ఇంకా పనికిరాదు కదా. అయిపోయిందండి. అందరూ పెట్టట్లేదు, ఒకరిద్దరే పెట్టారు. ఇంకా కోడ్ 81707451. ఉండండి, 5 కూడా వేసుకోండి. అయ్యా 2 minutes ఉంది. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ వన్ ఓపెన్ అయిన వాళ్ళకి అన్ని కలిపి ఇచ్చేసాను. మీరు ఆ బార్ని ఎలా మూవ్ చేయొచ్చు. స్ట్రాంగ్లీ డిసగ్రీ లెఫ్ట్, స్ట్రాంగ్లీ అగ్రీ రైట్. మీరు మీ ఇష్టం ఎక్కడ పెడితే ఎక్కడ పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. మీరు యుథనేషియా ఈజ్ ఎ గుడ్ ప్రాక్టీస్. మెర్సీ కిల్లింగ్ గుడ్ అనుకున్న వాళ్ళు చివరి దాకా పట్టుకెళ్ళిపోండి, వద్దనుకున్న వాళ్ళు అక్కడే వదిలేయండి. పర్వాలేదు అనుకున్న వాళ్ళు మధ్యలో పెట్టండి. ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్ కాదు, దట్ ఈస్ ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్. ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్ ఈజ్ అగెయిన్స్ట్ రిలీజియన్. సో ఆ కాలంలో ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్ చేస్తాను అంటే కొంతమంది పాస్టర్స్, కొంతమంది మౌల్వీస్ దే అపోజ్డ్ ఇట్. సో అందువలన ఆర్గన్ డొనేషన్ అగెయిన్స్ట్ రిలీజియన్ అని ఎవరికైనా అనిపిస్తే యూ కెన్ మెన్షన్ దట్. The third question is, GMOs are the need of the hour. Genetically modified organisms ని ఇప్పుడు మనం ఎట్టి పరిస్థితుల్లోనూ వాడాల్సిందే. Yes or no? Yes. And last one, whether you agree to use AI in education. అదే అంటే ఇక్కడ మన ఈ 20 మందిలోనే ఎంత ఒపీనియన్ ఉందో చూడడం కోసం ఇది. Bioethics and alternate models to animals. Alternate models to animals. లేకపోతే మేడం క్లాస్ చెప్పేస్తాను, ప్రాక్టికల్ అవ్వదు. సార్ అయిపోయిందా? So this is over, and I'll send the results in the group afterwards. And one last thing I want to mention, it will not take not just more than 2 minutes. So there is another website called as, please note it down, another website called as Quizzes, QUIZIZZ. So it is also an AI tool. You just type, for example, ఇది బాగుంటుందండి. మీరు ఒకసారి యాప్ కనుక ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకొని మీ పిల్లల చేత ఇది చేయిస్తే, నేను జస్ట్ మామూలుగా చూపిస్తానంతే. స్టార్ట్ ఏ లైవ్ ప్లీజ్ కొట్టానండి. క్లాసిక్ పెట్టుకోవచ్చు, ఇన్స్ట్రక్టర్ పేస్ పెట్టుకోవచ్చు, అంటే ఎంత డ్యూరేషన్ ఇవ్వాలి అన్నది మనం కూడా పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. సో మోడ్ మనం సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకుంటాం. కంటిన్యూ కొట్టిన తర్వాత ఆ లైవ్ గేమ్ డిస్ప్లే అవుతుంది. సో ఇది కోడ్. సో క్విజీస్ ఎవరైనా డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకుని ఉంటే కనుక ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకోవాలి. అంటే మీరు ఎడ్యుకేటర్గా చేసుకోండి, తర్వాత ఇక్కడ చేయాలంటే స్టూడెంట్గా ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకోవాలి. ఇది డెమో చూడాలంటే అండి మీరు చేసుకోవచ్చు. మరి స్టూడెంట్స్కి ఇవ్వాలి కదా, స్టూడెంట్గా జరగమనండి, మీరు ఎడ్యుకేటర్గా జాయిన్ అయిపోండి. సో ఇక్కడ వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఇలా ఓపెన్ చేసిన తర్వాత క్విజీస్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసిన తర్వాత కోడ్ అడుగుతుంది. ఇక్కడ కోడ్ ఉంది కదండి, 290481 జాయిన్ చేయమని కొడతారు. కొట్టిన తర్వాత సో పేరు అది ఇచ్చుకున్నాను ఆల్రెడీ నేను ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు. సో వి ఎంటర్ ద గేమ్. సో ఇక్కడ మీరేం చేయాలి, యూ హ్యావ్ టు స్టార్ట్ ద గేమ్. సో గేమ్ స్టార్ట్ అంటే క్విజ్. Have joined. You can answer. closing in 30 seconds. So here, please see, there is create. So you can click on create. You can create quiz or you can create lesson plans also. So if it is for quiz, you can start it from scratch and you just type what you want there in the search bar. So if you want science quiz, you can search it from here. There are so many science quizzes. If you want something like this, for example, cell biology, you can search for it. A number of options will be automatically generated. You need not prepare any quiz. You can use it for your classroom activity. So daily you can give one. So there are so many. So whatever the topic you want to, you can just select it. You can share it. With the link, with the given code, the student will join and he will answer. So with this, I come to the end of this session. So artificial intelligence को separate గా చెప్దాం అనుకున్నాను కానీ నేను చెప్పే పాఠంతో పాటు ఇంక్లూడ్ చేస్తే బాగుంటుంది ఉద్దేశంతో విజు బయోఎథిక్స్ పెట్టుకున్నాను. అలాగే మెంటిమేట్ లింక్ కూడా దాంట్లో పెట్టుకున్నాను. అలాగే prezi.com లో ప్రెజెంటేషన్ కూడా దాంట్లో పెట్టడం జరిగింది. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ గివింగ్ మీ ద ఆపర్చునిటీ. థ్యాంక్ యూ.